So I've got this horse here, like he's just got to stand at a junction quiet, and this horse, this pony I should say, just in a rubber bit. Well, you know, they always are, our horses, but in a rubber bit, and he's standing there quiet. Now the man wasn't happy with him standing at junctions. What I think, I don't know, he probably applied too much pressure to him. But if you go down and just have a look at, so you can see there, when that car was coming to come right in front of his head, I had the reins slack, no pressure, not holding him at all. He's just been asked to stand and he's doing as he's asked. So I just pull him round now, let that traffic go. But you see there how he turned at right angles to the junction, which is brilliant, you know, for us. Right? Trot. So I want him to stop anywhere I asked him to stop. I don't just want to worry about the junctions. Walk, stand still. And I want him to stay in there, you know, on a slack rein, not move, yeah? So we've got a car coming, and I don't want him to move. So I'm not putting any pressure on my reins, just got my hands still on my knees, yeah? Now, when this car goes past, that's not an invitation for him to walk off, which it was when he first came. He had a lot of problems when he first came. A lot of problems to iron out. So he would take it upon himself to say, well, that vehicle's gone, I'll go now. But as I've said many times before, all a horse is, and I don't mean to demean it in any way, but the only way to drive a horse safely is treat it as a motive power. So you don't get in the motor car, do you? Turn it on, put it in gear, and then get in the passenger seat. You know, you just... So you see the reins are slack, laid up on his back, and he's just standing there until I say to him it's all right to go. And then what I will do is tell him he can go, tell him to walk, and he'll walk away, and then I'll stop him again. Maybe I'll let him take half a stride, I might let him take 5. But he's got to know. Walk. Whoa. Stand. He's got to come straight back when he's asked and stand. So all this is what I keep saying. Horses will do anything you want them to do. One, they've got to understand. One, you must never hurt them, right? I mean, you know, if you're going to bully them or whack them or put a big lump of iron in their mouth and a curb chain and jerk their head off and all that nonsense, no good at all. So they've got to do it because you asked them. You know, but you've got to get them up to that stage in their training, one, that they're listening to you, so you can ask them, yeah? There's good, baby. So again now, I'll wait for that to go. I want that to go on a bit. Walk. And that's what I want him to do, is walk. Still on the slack rein, can you see? Now I want him to trot, so I'll say to him, trot! And I shall tell him to trot on. Trot on! And he'll stay there until I tell him different, you know, or ask him. I don't want to tell him, I just want to say, you know, that's what I want. Do that. So the only way you do that, and that's how you make all safe, confident and happy. Clear, precise instructions. You don't hear me saying, at some point you will say me saying, that's a total lie. You will say me talking to them and like that. Once they're trained and finished, yeah, I'm ready to go home, I don't want to say any more than the basic instructions. But sometimes they need a soothing word in training, just a little bit of reassurance. But basically, that's it. But basically when they're done, I don't say any more than, you know, the basic things. Walk on, trot on, canter, steady, walk, stand still. And that's all I do. So if I want this pony to jig jog now, which is slower than a working trot, jig, 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 trot. Trot on. Now you can tell, I can tell this pony's had some trauma, definitely without any question, because his ears are back on me all the time, so he wants to be connected with me. He trusts what I say. The communication between us couldn't be any better than what it is. What I'd like to see him do is have his ears forward a little bit more. So again, we just say there's a dog running out, a child in the road, or someone skidding on a motorbike or whatever. Whoa! And he'll stop. And then I'm going to do a real quick stop. And if you look at, he's only got a soft rubber bit in his mouth, and he's soaping away lovely. Yeah. And I've heard so much nonsense about bits in my life. I'm an absolute nonsense. If I can drive all the horses we have, and there's no exceptions, they all go in a soft rubber bit. There's horse I'm driving at the moment, that you'll see him's got shanks on the bit, so he's got cheek pieces on it like a Liverpool. But the bit in his mouth is actually exactly the same as this one's wearing. The only reason we put him in that, he's got some, he was never sore, but he had a reaction to a rubber cheek guard, and it took the pigment out of his skin. It's coming back now, but just one of them things, a rare, that never ever was sore, but that's why we have that with the rain guard on the bottom to stop it moving around and touching the, you know, his cheeks. Walk, baby. Walk. Stand. And I've got to let go of them reins, slacked off straight away, and the horse just got to stand there and do what I'm asked him to do. Walk. I was speaking to a lady on the phone, phoned me up and was talking about her horse, wanting a bit of advice, and she's saying to me, I talk to my horses all the time. In fact, she said, I never stop talking. Well, I said to her, I said, well, why don't you just go out and just try not to talk, only to give a clear and precise instruction. So she phoned back a couple of, 3 days, 4 days later. She said, I can't believe the difference in my horse. She said, I understand what you mean now, it becomes just one long mumble. But horses will know up to, I'm not going to argue with people about how many, you know, words they can learn. I mean, you always get someone going to say to me, oh, my horse can do lovely. But as a general rule, if they can do walk on, trot on, yeah, canter, yeah, and walk, stand still, that's as much as they want. That's all you need. Obviously your left and right, you can teach them that, most definitely, but it's a silly thing to say, I'll tell them left and right. It's all right for trials ponies and, you know, horses doing competition, because you can warn them we're going to go left, you know, you're going to go right, you know, and they will learn it. But as a basic rule, you couldn't ask the horse just to turn left, because how would he know he'd cut the corner or go out too wide? He'd still be turning left, but it wouldn't be in the correct manner to be safe, you know, on the public highway. So I just asked him now, trot, trot. And he'll go away at that working trot all the time. He's, you know, no problem at all. He'll be happy doing that. And if I say to him just, you know, one little word now, like steady, come straight back. Yep. If I say to him trot, straight up and pick it up again. And that's training. And when people say, you know, I'm not applying pressure on the reins at all, the reins are slack, but obviously you've got a certain amount of movement for the horse in harness. Otherwise, you know, if the harness was tight on him, he'd be red raw, wouldn't he? Obviously, you know, if it fitted that tight. So you got about 6 inches, 4 to 6 inches movement. Come round, darling. And you'll like to see. I'll ask him to come round tight now and see what's tight. I could probably get him. I mean, I don't know if it's a bold statement, but we'll try. I'll probably get him from this position here. Stand still, baby. It's. I'm not making excuses, but it's awkward for me to do a very, very tight turn because of the length of the shafts. We have the length of the shafts like that. I mean, they also be much nearer to the carriage, but we have them like that because this is like for training. So if horse puts a buck in, or also more importantly, I can see how his feet are moving. You know, they're too often see the towels are up on them when we train them to have a look. But if we'll ask him to come round as tight. Alright, come round, babe. Come round tight. Come round. Tight. So basically we stayed on our side of the road. He crossed the white line very slightly. And come round, babe. Tight. Good boy. That's it. So he's, you know, he's doing the job nicely. Good boy. Up you go, baby. Good boy. Trot. And we're going to stand at this junction. I'm coming right up on this white line here, and I just want to explain to you why I do that. You'll see in most of the films we do that. Now, I would come here even if I was going to turn to the left, because as you look that way you can see that the view's not very clear. As you look up there, I can't see it, you know, very far over that bridge. So I can, if I want to, and I want to turn to the left here, what I can do is turn my horse down that white line, you see. And if I turn the horse down the white line, he won't actually enter the road, will he? He won't actually enter the road. Walk. So here, there's a car coming, so walk. Now, walk. He's got to stop again. That sort of thing happens. So when you tell him to walk, and I tell him to walk, he does it instantly. And we saw that car coming, so I went to walk. So I went to move out, the car was coming, and I just tell him to stop, and he does it. So I asked him, you know, walk, and he just knows that word, and he'd do it instantly. And basically, that obviously getting used to traffic, being close proximity, big arctics, tractors, trailers, all that. Any horse can be traffic proofed if you take the time, and you've got to accept the fact all horses are different, so the way you do it would vary, but that's only just experience, and that's nothing that I can give to you, you know, because without seeing the horse, put my hand on it, you know, handling it for you know, half an hour or so, then I can say to you, okay, for this horse you need to do this, for this one you need to do that. And so the lovely big lorry coming here, so I won't go right to the curb, and I won't go right over there to frighten the lorry or worry the man who's driving it, but I shall bring him over tight to it, you know, on a rubber bit, and there he is, completely safe. Yeah. And people are going to say to me, make comments that, what if that, well what if the man had a blowout on the lorry when that happened? What if his load moved inside and it split the curtain and fell out? What if? You know, there's 1,000 things you could say. So what I'm trying to do with horses is to make them safe, but be able to cope with an emergency. And that's the thing people don't get. It doesn't really matter like for instance, I reverse with my motor car, a four-wheel drive thing, you know. I reverse back on a horse, and people say to me, why ever would you do that? I'll tell you why I done it, because I was at the traffic lights with a pair of horses, and the person put it in reverse and come straight back on the horses. Obviously, as soon as I moved back, hit the brakes, but it did actually touch the horses, yeah? But they never reacted at all, because they've been there before. And as long as you do that, it's, well, it's, all horses are different. You can't make a blanket rule for every one of them. But if that ever happened again to them horses who come back, they've been there, they wouldn't react violently to it. They wouldn't be that frightened. Obviously, if it come back and smashed into them, obviously, but then that's, you know, but you've got them as ready as you can for an emergency, something out of the ordinary happening. But if you take them there, I say, oh, you should never canter horse on the road. Who said so? Who's the great expert that said that? Why do I do it? Because when a horse gets into a canter, the cart behind him, the driving horse, is no longer a cart. It's no longer the noise he's heard before. It will make a different noise. It will react different on his body. The connection he has with it through the shafts will be different. And now he will panic and start to run away from it. And the more he runs, obviously the more it chases him, because he's connected to it. So that's why we canter on the road. And when people say to me, oh, but it's so bad for their legs, well, show me the proof. I want to see the proof, not just someone making a statement. I mean, my dear Rowley, God rest his soul, he worked for 23 years. He done more miles than I would definitely, he'd done more miles than any horse in this country in recent times, definitely, without any question. His joints was as good as the day I broke him or trained him to do the job. His joints was as good. Why were they if he cantered on the road? He must have cantered every day, and another day cantered 2 or 3 times a day. If he had it all up the side of him learning, if I needed to use him for that, you know, up the side learning, because it's not a massive percentage that go up the side. A lot of them, you don't do any favours. You put horse up the side of a horse like Rowley, schoolmaster like that. They're wonderful, do anything, but they haven't got any confidence of their own. They're just taking confidence from the horse beside them. Well, that's no good. So it's only a small percent, well, not a small percentage, but, or the time they stay might be very small, but it's only about 43 or 4%. Come on, baby. Big old tractor. Up we go, baby. I was going to swing round there to that tractor. He wouldn't mind the tractor being up the side of him. But I had a car coming down and we're on a bend, which is a shame really, it's a silly thing to do. And he's not come up this way, which is a shame, the tractor. So yeah, there you go. So you see him stop on junctions, all the things we can do. I can put them down there like that and drive with no, come over. Trot. Steady, steady, just walk. No reins, no brakes, nothing. Just doing what I asked him to do. Well, that must prove it. We've got noise at the bottom here, you know, moving rubbish down there. Probably won't come out on a GoPro, but you'll hear it faintly, it's quite loud. Made me look anyway. Trot. Steady. Come over, babe. Come over. Come over. Come over. Steady. Steady. Steady, my baby boy. So this is a little bit out of the ordinary. That'll do. Come over. Come over. You dare go down there. Come over. I just reached for the rein there but didn't have to touch it. Come over. Come over. So he's holding this down. I've got no brakes on, we've got no reins on. And the horse is just doing what I've asked him to do. So that must prove the point that we've got such a good relationship. I haven't got rang on his mouth. No, I'm not recommending anybody does this, it's just to demonstrate that he's doing what I asked him to do rather than being bullied into it, or a great lump of iron and a curved chain and a firm contact at all times. Well, where's the firm contact here? And the horse is doing his job. And any one of the horses I do would do this. You know, the idea is that they go off of the voice, yeah? And the communication must be there. So we've got the communication reins, but more importantly we've got the communication of the voice. And he trusts me implicitly, and he's happy to do what I asked him to do. Steady walk, steady walk, walk. Walk, walk. No, don't worry about that noise. Walk. Good boy. Just walk. That would be a kite screaming. That's what his ears was going at. You know, a bird. Kite. Red-tailed kite. Huh?
I would keep saying you stole a kite though. There's no race.
So, and I'm just going to show you how we do an emergency stop to prove to you that I'm not holding him, I'm not pulling his head off, I'm not wondering whether he's going to go to a full track gallop and be uncontrollable. So here we go. What? Come up, babe, come over. Hey, good boy. So an emergency stop now. Whoa! Now, if that horse was worried of cantering in harness, he wouldn't stop on a sixpence, would he? And he wouldn't have his leg at rest like he's got there. Can you see he's lifting it onto his toe? He's dropped his hip down. He's perfectly happy. Walk. And this is a horse, a pony that was, I don't know the history and I'm not prepared to say, and I'm certainly not going to run anybody down. But we broke this pony a while ago, and someone bought it and couldn't do anything with it. It was dangerous. There's another film of this pony like a few weeks ago when it was up on its hind legs, bucking in harness. It's on there on a film that we'll put a link up related so you can look at it yourselves and see the difference in him. But it's all done with, I mean, understand what I mean. I say it's done with, you've got to be firm but fair, kind but firm. You've got to be firm. If you've got a child that's going to walk out into the road, you've got to say no. You can't do that, you know, and you've got to be firm, haven't you? Like, you know, when you're bringing up children, if bedtime's 6 o'clock, you can't sit out at the pub till 15:15, can you? On a Sunday evening having a drink because it's lovely and it's nice warm sunshine and everything's lovely. You've got to go, no, I've got to get, you know, 5 o'clock, you've got to get home, get them washed and changed and in bed. You know, that's what you've got to do. It's the same with horses. Ain't no different. So he's a lovely, lovely little cob now. He really is a treat. He's a pleasure to drive, and you could drive him anywhere and you could do anything with him. Oh, baby, stand still. So there's a nice surprise, and cattle on there as well. Look, come up, babe. and he'll come right up there to them cattle on there. And a bull in the back, look. So there you go. And that's in the rubber pit, and all of that, and I don't mean to be, but it can be done. And there's another car swinging up here, look, as I've turned round. Seen that right in his face. They cope with anything if they're trained properly. And I'm not saying I'm the, you know, there's plenty of horses out there. I never broke them. They're doing perfectly well without my help. So it's not. It's just a case of how we see the job. You know, everybody's different, aren't they? The way they see how to do it. And I would never say anybody's wrong or our methods are better. But what can't speak, can't lie. There's the horses doing it. And they'll all do the same thing when they're ready to leave. This one's going home in a couple of days. So obviously it's bang ready to do the job. Old Posty. You let her put your shorts back on, boy, wouldn't you? You hold up. Oh, I got them all right. Whoa. I'll let this traffic come because I can't get past the black car. So that's it. All right, my dear, God bless, thank you. Oh, me, you mean, or the horse? Walk up. That's lovely, go on, babe. Trot. And sometimes I'd like to make, you know, say to him, you're a good boy, you know, and like that. Of course I would, because he's been a good boy. Where he's been, the trauma he's had somewhere, I don't know where, I don't know who's caused it. I'm not making any statements like that. I'm saying, a bit, I don't know, a year or more. I don't know, a long time since he was here. Then this other chap bought him and he couldn't do anything with him. Now, whose fault? I don't know. Is it anybody's fault? I don't know. All I know is he was dangerous. As I say, we'll put a link to the other film and you can see from there. But he's coming on now and he's absolutely 1,000,000% a good, straight, honest little colt. I'd take him anywhere. I'd drive him, seriously, I would drive him through the middle of Piccadilly Circus on a Saturday night. He would do it, you know. Just hear my voice and he's happy as anything. But the same with Ree, he wouldn't be no different with Ree, my little mate who works with me. Be the same with him, he wouldn't take no notice, just get on with his job. So there you go, going over a cup of coffee now.